Hi, this is the Panhandle Prepper here. I just wanted to make a video on Hurricane Isaac. And I live about 200 miles, maybe a little bit more. I live several hundred miles from the impact zone of Hurricane Isaac, and just wanted to talk to you about the things that I've gone up. You can see in the background there, my door and windows are all boarded up, and thank God the hurricane missed us. But I wanted to talk to you about what I experienced here of prepping and the things about prepping that helped me out a lot here. You can probably hear the wind in the background a little bit, so hopefully this video will be okay with the audio. But anyway, I'll jump right into it. 2 days before the storm, the shelves, all the canned food and the bottled water and all those kinds of things were absolutely out at the stores. And there was no bottled water, there was no bread, there was just empty shelves. And normally, years ago, it would have kind of put me into a little bit of a panic state, because it's an awful feeling going to the store and seeing how everything is gone off of the shelves. I already had those things already ready since I've been prepping for a little while now. I had plenty of food, plenty of water, plenty of fuel, and the great thing about the prepping is that I had a real peace in my heart, and knowing that I've prepared for my family and done those things which I needed to do to be responsible. And so basically what I did was I just used those couple of days before the storm was coming to kind of polish off and polish up rather, and do some fine tuning, which was a good feeling. Being able to see a lot of my shortcomings, things I needed to work on, and took inventory and dealt with those things. Now, one of the things I want to talk about here is I boarded up my house, and as you can see, even in the background over here, kind of pieced together some things here to save some money. And because my old boards, they weren't usable. I had them stored up, they were stored improperly, and the termites just ate them all up, and I'm not going to put some boards on my house that have a bunch of termites on them. So I had to go out. Since my food was covered, since my fuel was covered, I had plenty of water, and I wasn't worried about being unprepared if the storm did hit us. So I was able to go out and spend little as money as possible, take the time to think about the best way, most intelligent way to board my house up, saving money. So that's what I spent some of my time on. And so I got it all reboarded up. I salvaged the old hurricane clips I already had on the old termite-infested boards. Took my time. I did it right. I had peace in my heart about it the whole time. Didn't have to worry about scrambling and that empty feeling of desperation in your heart because you're not ready, not prepared, like so many people are. And so I didn't have to rush around, and that was a real blessing. So the next thing, let me talk about this. I only spent about $100 boarding up my house, and so that was great. I had time to think about it. Wasn't rushed, like I said. Fuel. The next thing is fuel. In light of this hurricane situation here in 2012, I had plenty of fuel, but I used the extra time I had again to just polish up my fuel supply. So I pulled out the old cans I had laying around, which I got tons of old cans laying around the property here, and took those dirty old cans to the gas station and filled them all up. And I did, when I had time, when I was getting my plywood, I went to the store, and people were complaining and really rushing around and complaining about the price of new gas cans and this and that, and I wasn't even worried. I just kind of talked to them and sympathized with them a little bit, and but I already had that done. I already had it taken care of. I had my old cans that are probably 5 or 8 years old. No problem. I'm ready to go. I just filled them up, cleaned them up, and filled them up. So I have plenty of gas. Now, at some stores, you hear some wind kind of in the background. Some of the stores, I'll go ahead and spin this around a little bit here. Not a big deal. Just a little bit of wind. A little bit of wind going, a little bit of remnant of what was close to us, but thank the Lord we didn't have any problems there. Anyway, oops, I'll flip this around this way. Back to this prepping thing here, and my camera doesn't blow over. So I filled up those old gas cans, and I was good to go, and had peace about it at the same time. Now, yeah, I was already well prepared before the storm already rolled in, and that was a real blessing. Now, I figured I wanted to just talk about some things here about this preparing before a storm comes in. Now, really, it's a lifestyle. It's not just, oh, there's a storm coming, let me run out and buy as much food and water and fuel as I can just for 3 or 4 days. That's not what prepping is about. It's a lifestyle. You should prep every day, do something every other day or as soon as you can, so that you can put up for tomorrow. Prepping is not, oh no, there's a storm coming, I better do something. No, prepping is, there's going to be lots of storms coming, and I better do many things and be well prepared ahead of time. What if the economy crashes? What if, all these things that all the experts are saying is factual, going to happen? What if they happen? Then I'm in real trouble, and so are you. So the more you're prepared, the better off you'll weather the storm. So prepping is a lifestyle. Number one, prepping saves you money. Saved me all kinds of money this time. I didn't have to. Dogs are chasing squirrels. All kinds of money I saved this time because I didn't have to buy the overpriced fuel and all the overpriced things that gas cans and the plywood is outrageous now. The price of plywood is through the roof. So it did save me a lot of money because I had a lot of things already prepared. Number two is being prepared ahead of time saves you time. It saved me a lot of time. I didn't have to scramble and worry about all this food and water and canned food and water and fuel. I already had those provisions for my family for many days, maybe even months. So that was a good thing. So it saved a lot of time. And if you have time on your hands, you're not stressed and you're not pressured. So that was a real blessing too. And so that goes with number three is prepping gives you peace. And knowing that you're ready ahead of time. It was a great feeling knowing that I was ready ahead of time. Now I did evaluate. I was short on some things I wanted to have, but I had time to go to several stores looking for things I wanted to have extra on because I had the time, and I had peace. I didn't have to run around and be crazy and not be mentally stable because I was in a panic. So prepping helps you. It helps you have the right state of mind. Number four, prepping is responsible, and it's just plain the right thing to do. If you're not prepared, you're not prepping for you and your family, then you're just wrong when it comes to these situations, because you're not only hurting yourself and being lazy, and that's really what it is. The majority of not prepping is laziness. People, and Americans especially, spending more money on other junk they could be storing things up and prepping and still have plenty of money to do things. We waste so much money, and I'll get to that in a minute. The next things, talking about the storms of life, are going to come. And I've got an example that one time I was pretty broke for a long period of time. Business dried up a little bit and didn't have any money. I lived entirely off my food storage for almost maybe 6 months, 5-6 months. 99% of all my food came from my food storage. And I didn't have any money. I know it was another time earlier in my life, in my real early 20s, when I was irresponsible, and I didn't have a food storage, and I got broke, and I had to go to mom and dad and beg for some food, and that was pretty humiliating. So when you have money and have time, you should be prepping, and you should be doing the things that need to be done. Be prepared. Now, as you take a look behind me at my fancy shutter system here, right? And my plywood shutter system here, right? It's pretty funny, right? Well, I don't think I spend $100 on all the wood and what I needed to salvage the other clips and stuff. I saved a lot of money, and I have people around me that have. I've asked them. I've gone over and helped some neighbors and things that had some shutter systems, and they about $7,000 for some of these elaborate, fancy shutter systems, locking and all that stuff. That's great. If you have plenty of money, that's great. But I sure don't, and most people don't. These folks that have these elaborate systems, they don't have $7,000 worth of food or fuel or anything else saved up. So it's an incredible waste of money, is what I'm getting at. You could use plywood. You can get nice plywood and nice clips that snap in no problem, and you could save. You could use that $6,500 to do one heck of a food storage. Put up lots and lots of food. $7,000. You can store food for one person for almost a whole year on that kind of money. So what it was a convenience. People use these conveniences because they want these real nice, convenient shutters, but it's going to cost you. It costs you time and money. If you have plenty of money and have all your other bases covered, by all means, it's great if you can do that. So don't take shortcuts in your prepping. You have to be balanced. Prepping is hard work, and it takes a lot of thought and a lot of mistakes. Now, just to recap a couple things here, is the storm did miss us, and I'm very thankful for that. So I used a couple of days I had off to do some things, and I'll share them with you. In the rain and the wind, which was a great time to do it, kept the bugs off me, nice and cool, kept me clean, butchered a bunch of rabbits, processed the meat, and I canned a bunch of rabbit meat for long-term food storage, which I'm not going to eat until I need it later on. I got to can a bunch of salsa. I like to eat salsa and Mexican food, so we canned a bunch of salsa. I got to make my own bottled water. I got to use my well and do a few little things to preserve my water for some long-term storage, and I have plenty of water and didn't have to spend a nickel on any bottled water. Meanwhile, the shelves are all gone and people run around looking for water. I just make my own. I have plenty of time to do that. The next thing I did, number 5, is I took the inventory of my shortcomings. In other words, I took note of things I needed to work on in a real situation. And there was a handful of things I was awful short on that I needed to work on. So what I did not do is get a couple cases of beer, hang out with all my buddies, and grab a bunch of videos and sit on my fat can. I didn't do that. Prepping is hard work, and there's no shortcuts. And the idea is do what you can today for tomorrow, and you'll be glad that you did. This is Panhandle Prepper, a little bit of hurricane information here, little things that I did, things to share with you to try to help you out. And there's lots of other little things, but I just wanted to shoot this quick video here while the storm was still passing over us. And I sure am glad that I prepped. Sure am glad I spent the time and money that I did when I could. And then when the real storm came, I was well ahead of the game, and I could spend time with my family and do things in life that I wanted to do instead of being scared and panicking. So do what you ought to do today for tomorrow. This is Panhandle Prepper. Thank you.